Well, hello, my sweet friend, and welcome to another episode of the Art K Coach podcast. Christina here. I'm super happy to be back. Today's episode is going to be a bit different. Actually, I wanted to jump in first before the episode because the episode was not recorded in video. Is a guest episode with my dear friend Yvonne Donald. Let me tell you a little bit of the background of what's going on. Yvonne and I have been talking because um, there have been so many changes in the cake industry in the past years. And I don't know what happened, but this week it feels like an anomaly. This week everything, I mean, we have been constantly receiving news and getting to know details about people closing their businesses, splitting up, changing their business route or whatever they're doing, pivoting to a different niche, or just getting tired and taking a break because they want to take a break apart from the cake world. That in one hand. In the other hand, um, what the audience is asking for, what the clients are asking for from a cake is very different. We mentioned in this episode that we even feel this is probably how the old school cake decorators who used to pipe everything and work everything into detail with piping flowers and icing, piping and handmade flowers when sugar paste came in and novelty cakes came in. Probably will feel the same, but we are at a point of disruption. We are at a point of everything is changing. Events are closing their doors. Events that have been an icon for a long time have been going through some changes and even reframing how they're doing things. So there's a lot going on. I think it's a reflection of everything that's going on in the world in general. The world is, I don't like to talk here about the world, but the world is in a break of a change, good or bad, I don't know, but it's in a break of a change. Everything going on with politics, with AI, with the economy, with market, with everything. And of course, our industry has been affected by it. We're human beings, and the human side of our industry has been neglected for so long. What do I mean by this? Cake artists against cake artists, or cake decorators against cake decorators, because they always feel that they're competing against each other. They haven't cultivated community. They haven't cultivated a sense of support. And when things go when things go south, you feel like you have nothing to lean on. Even cake groups, because there's another thing, social media is changing so much. People is so tired of social media. Our groups online on Facebook and on Instagram post. Instagram is going crazy. It's not going crazy. I mean, everything is changing. So what used to work for us on Instagram is not working anymore on Instagram. We feel more like entertainers and content creator. Actually, my friend Natalie from 13 Rhythms, by the way, congratulations on her new podcast. She mentioned that in her latest news letter, I think, about how what are we? Are we business owners, or are we entertainers and content creators? Because everything the amount of things that we need to do to get some engagement on social media is crazy, and we are tired. That's another thing, we're tired. uh we are going through, I don't know, physical changes. Everything is changing. um I've been contacted by some of my coaches. We mentioned it in the coaching group. um Change is coming. Change is coming. And again, I always said, focus on the things that you can control. Can we control the change? No. Can we control how we feel in front of the change? Yes. And today I started this episode talking to you because even though it's not on video, please bear with me. Listen to this episode. Even if you're on YouTube, I'm going to leave you a nice image in there so you cannot get distracted, because Yvonne and I have decided to invite a group of the icons, the experts, the well-known cake artists, um, in all areas that affect our business: cake artists, cake decorators, coaches, business owners, product business owners for our industry. um, we have invited, or I've already talked to Melanie Underwood from Cake International, David Close. I mean, we're going to invite a few of our closest friends who somehow are inside this industry and are a reference to the industry, because we really want to open a conversation about what's going on, and where are we going as a cake industry. um I know it sounds a little vain because vain and vague, I will say, because I was just listening to a conversation on the podcast, The Diary of a CEO. Go check it out. It's a conversation about the future of our world with AI, and here I am talking about the future of our cake industry. We bake cakes, but we have to address it. I think we have to address it. And this first episode with my dear friend Yvonne Donald is just the opening of a big conversation. And if you want to be part of the conversation, leave me a message, leave me a note here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can just leave a message here on the comments. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave messages on Spotify as well. Just DM me. You have all my social medias, all my social media links in here on the description of the episode. Please be part of the conversation. We would love to hear your opinion. We would love to know what will happen. What do you think will happen? And how do we prepare for the changes that are coming? So thank you for listening to this episode today. I leave you now with the episode with Yvonne Donald. Like I said, it's not on video, so if you're listening on Spotify, good. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to leave a nice image there so you can just listen to us. But please listen, because it's a really good episode. Thank you so much, my friends. And as always, stay safe and stay creative. I'll see you later. Well, hello, my sweet friends, and welcome to another episode of the Art Cake Coach podcast. Christina here. Super happy to have you back. And I am back here. I'm not. Yvonne is back here with us. Hello, Yvonne. How are you?
Hi, Christina. So I hope you're well, and thank you for having me back on the podcast. It's amazing. It's lovely to be back on.
It's my pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you here. For those of you who don't know Yvonne is a fellow cake decorator and podcaster and many other things. So, Yvonne, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Right, so my name's Yvonne Donald, and I've got a podcast called Adventures in Cakeland, where I talk about running a side hustle or a part-time cake business. I also interview other cake artists, and then I talk about things that are trending in the industry. And I also have a business called, what's it called? Cake and Cupcakery. So I do celebration cakes and artisan cupcakes, and then I also publish books related to cake makers' business, the running of the business, like order books and food safety books, etc. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Yeah. Yvonne is like me. Yvonne has like so many endeavors. We lose track of the names, right? It's like, this is the
You
cake,
have
this
to. You
is
have
this,
to.
this is this.
Yeah, you have to have a go.
You have to, yeah, you do. You have to, you
You
have
have
to
to have a
try it
go.
everything, right?
You do,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Yvonne was first in the. When was the first time you were here on the episode, on the podcast,
Right.
Yvonne?
I think it's been a good couple of years now, I would
A
say.
couple of
What are
years
we now,
already.
2025? About 2023 or something?
Wow, it's been a while.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
yeah. It's been a
connected
while.
through Instagram, correct?
Yes, yes, we did.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
we did. We
You asked
connected,
a
and I do
question.
mention Yvonne.
You asked a question and you were looking for some guests for your podcast. I thought, oh, I'll take this opportunity because I've never been on a podcast, even though I host one. And we never looked back since then, Christina.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And well, Yvonne was here. We had a blast that time. But we keep in touch. We support each other. Always
Mm,
root for my fellow podcasters on social media, and
absolutely.
I always listen to her podcast, because I mean we do have to support each other, and the podcast is good. So you have to
Thank you.
listen
And
to
I listen to yours too, and it's also very
it. Thank you. And as we keep in touch, and we've been talking a lot about Yvonne being back on the podcast and about a lot of things. The other day we got talking, we got chatting, and we came up with an idea. Yvonne, can you share what this idea is about?
Oh, okay. So we wanted to have a series of conversations around things that affect us in the industry. This is everything from social media, the state of the industry, where it's heading. What else did we talk about? Pricing, obviously, and oh God, what else did we talk about? We did have a list,
Oh,
haven't
many
we?
things. I
Using
have it all written
ChatGPT.
down. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we wanted to have a conversation because I think that's something that's lacking in the community that we
Mm-hmm.
don't we're very insular when we're working as cake makers. We're all usually on our own. And you can listen to me and Christina and all the other podcasters all day, every day. But obviously, having a conversation outside of a Facebook group is also very beneficial, I think. So I thought me and Christina was talking, and we thought, let's try and have a conversation about these things that are affecting us right now, because obviously we know that we're not in the best place as an industry. There are people leaving it, really substantial, successful names in the industry are leaving it. And so I think it's time we opened up that floor and had that dialogue about what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That was our main concern. We start looking at some. I mean, the industry is shifting. The industry is changing. We start to look at patterns of things that are happening, complaints,
Mm.
um, people that we know that have been in the industry for so long and now suddenly are closing doors or taking a break. They're tired. There is a lot of talk about their well-being, their health. They wanted to take care of themselves because this is tough. This is it's
Mm.
we were just talking behind the scenes about this, the amount of hours that you're standing up in the kitchen, and the work that you do takes a toll on your body. All of that. We were talking about AI now coming into picture with everything that we do, trends, what's new, what's not new, what's happening. If part we feel, I don't know if you feel like that, Yvonne, as well. I feel like part of our industry is like getting just standing in the back, and there's
Mm.
another part of the industry that is moving forward,
Moving
and we're
forward, yeah.
not knowing how to keep up with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Besides,
I
there's
think
the
there's somebody once said a statement, we have to evolve or die. And I
yeah.
think that's the case in that maybe we've been in the industry 10, 11, 15 years
Hmm.
and it is moving very fast. And if you don't evolve, you're going to die. But sometimes the old way is not necessarily the same way that's beneficial today. So,
Yeah.
we do a lot of, if you did a lot of celebration cakes, bespoke cakes in the past, do the customers just necessarily want that? Because obviously they don't want to pay for it. So you're going to have to adapt. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Things like the cake sheds that have become really popular. It's just like a taste of what people want. They want to still have a treat. They still want to have cake. They're not paying
Hmm.
for it. So that's a bit of a treat thing. But, if you're a cake maker on here and you're thinking, I'm struggling with selling my cakes, then you're going to have to do something different. And I think that's where we are. We have to evolve.
That seemed to be like a break. We reached the breaking point of some what the audience want, what the customer wants, what we are
Mm.
giving them,
Mm.
the knowledge that the old school techniques have, or where when I started in the cake industry 17 years ago, it was a sugar paste modeling. It
Yes.
was the cakes that look like a bag, or a cake that looks like a shoe. It
Mm.
was that.
Mm.
Nowadays seems to be different. So we have these techniques, we know these things. If we're going to talk about piping, about buttercream work with piping, even icing piping work on a cake, we don't know if people really want that or people don't want that. um
Mm.
there seems to be something in there that
Disconnect.
we're not
There's a
connected.
disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because with what you were saying about the piping, it's really interesting actually because we've got the modern Lambeth cakes, the heart-shaped cakes, which are covered in beautiful piping and different shades, etc. That the young and the Generation Z have taken up. But it's a bit of a nod back to a very old technique of piping because that's where it's come from. But I
Yeah.
think, when you get a cake up, you can see cakes and you see them, and all they've got on them is, the stick-on baubles and cardboard toppers, etc.,
Oh, that's
etc.
another one. Yeah.
And we're moving away from the fact that we model, we can create things out of sugar.
Hmm.
But when we create things out of sugar, you give that price to the customer. The customer just probably says, "Oh gosh, that's too expensive," but they can afford the cake with the card toppers and the baubles on. But that's not necessarily the cake that you want to make because you have the skills to do it. But the customer
Yeah.
doesn't want to pay for your skills to do it. So that's why we keep seeing these types of cakes pop up, and it makes the barriers to entry easier for people that are coming in to make cakes because you can
Hmm.
decorate a cake, go on Amazon, order a pack of toppers, pop it on your cake's done, and the customer's going to be happy. So it's been really interesting seeing how the industry has evolved from the time that I've been doing cakes, and a bit like yourself, Christine, I started off doing sugar paste cakes, modelling, and all sorts. But then I
Yeah.
realised that it's very time consuming. It's taken a toll, the time, etc. So I took them all off my Instagram and started doing a different style of cakes that I hope that connects with my ideal customer, but also that I want to spend the time doing. So I think it is a matter of we're having to evolve. Not everybody has to. If you've still got your client base, that's fine. But if you haven't, then you might find that you might have to tweak things a little bit.
Yeah, we are in that point. We were talking if it is something related to after COVID, if we're still I mean, if we're still in the process of changing after COVID, uh not because of COVID, because it seems to have been the the turning point when
Yeah,
everything
I
stopped
think
and we
so.
had
The
to
line in the
start over.
sand. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
There is now AI in the game that
Hmm.
wasn't 5 years ago or 4 years
Yeah.
ago. Um,
Mm.
then there's the economy, the pricing. I think more people in our industry is getting educated in business and pricing that
Yeah.
when we started. I think that's a
Yes,
good thing.
definitely.
But in the other
Definitely. Yeah.
hand, the old, yeah, the old school bakers kind of don't know how. I don't know if what I'm saying is correct and it's kind of
Yeah.
controversial, but it's like they don't know how to keep up with it. I don't like to be
Yeah.
controversial, but I think we have to be.
No.
um
No.
they
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know how to keep up with everything with that.
Yeah.
Younger people with more maybe social media skills that they have,
Mm. Mm.
um
I mean, I totally
the
agree. I mean,
trends.
I, I, me and social media are having a love-hate relationship at the moment. I think I'm
Mm,
tired of it, but we're at the stage where we have to post more than ever. They're telling you to post
yeah.
3 times a day. You have to post a reel. You have to post a carousel. You have to show your face on the camera. I don't want to. I want to do social media, but I want to do
Yeah.
it on my terms. But my terms don't work. I have to be, you have to post so much, and it gets really frustrating. And I almost feel like I get social media fatigue. I just need to take a break from it as
Oh,
well.
absolutely, I
Seeing,
agree with you
yeah,
100%. Yeah, me too.
yeah, yeah.
Me too.
Seeing all the content. Yeah.
I do feel tired. Um, I don't know, but I don't know if it happens to you because this is where my this is how I go. I'm tired of social media. I don't even want to look at my own personal Instagram. Just it's like I don't even want to be on the phone.
Mm,
But then you feel like you're missing out, that there's
yeah.
something, you have to post, you have to do it. And then at some point my head tells me, well, you know what, just be yourself. If you don't want to show
Mm,
your face, or if you want to look different, if you don't want to do what everybody else is doing, just do it. And I go and do it,
mm,
but then it doesn't convert. I'm like, oh god, so I have to go
yeah.
back to what everybody
It's
else
a
is doing.
battle.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is
It's a
tiring.
constant battle. So I think, I started my business in 2011, but
Hmm.
that's when I went legit with the business. Previous to that, I was always making cakes. I've been making cakes since I was at catering college doing patisserie, and I used to do it as a hobbyist. But I have seen the industry change so, so much. And I think so many people want to go viral with every post that they have, they want to go viral. And my Instagram has hardly changed. The numbers have hardly changed in a good
Hmm.
couple of years, and I've spoken about it on the podcast. And I'm not. It doesn't. I mention it because it tickles me because I've been doing cakes a long time, but it doesn't bother me because that doesn't necessarily equate into orders. So I still have my core customers. I still have people, my supporters, um, and yeah, it. it I think a lot of, especially it's not necessarily younger people, but I think a lot of people thrive or want to have that virality and go viral and be the number one cake maker. And I said, and sometimes it's just like I cannot personally be bothered with it. I'm quite content, I would say, to just have my little following, my supporters, and people that have been there from day one. rather
Yeah,
than having to strive. But at the same time, if you do have virality, it can really escalate your business fantastically. You know, you can overnight one post can get you another 8,000 followers and all this content. So yeah, it's definitely a different world that we're living in now when it comes to
it is definitely.
cake.
It is. It's like we're playing the lottery with this thing. We don't know
Yeah. Mm.
what's gonna work, what's not gonna work. And you were talking about that, about how to about just, you don't know when it's going to be your turn to get viral, or if you're going to
Yeah.
get viral. But at the same time, one thing that you mentioned is, does that really convert into more
To
customers? It
sale.
doesn't.
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
actually
Exactly.
doesn't. I mean, it gives
No.
you visibility, but
Mm.
I don't know. Well, not for me. Maybe for other people it does, but not
Yeah.
more. The My customers are still my same customers as always. Even
Yeah.
when I
I'm the
stopped
same.
baking, now they
I'm the
order the toppers, but they're still
yeah.
the same people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, occasionally I've paid for Instagram ads, and sometimes you just want to get your product seen by your ideal customer. So when you put out an Instagram ad, you usually have a criteria, and I made up my
Hmm.
own criteria based on my ideal customer. And when I've done that, I have had some DMs off people to say, "Oh, you know, that cupcake tower, how much is it? Or that cake, how much is it?" And you direct them, and sometimes it converts into a sale and sometimes it doesn't. But at least it got you in front of a new set of eyes, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm intrigued to hear that people that have got massive followings or have had massive virality, if it did make a change, a difference to their sales, and if they did find themselves having newer customers, or if it was just like a numbers game where they just got more followers, but that was it.
Just more
That would be
followers.
interesting.
I was
Yeah,
listening to a podcast actually with the president, CEO of Instagram,
yeah,
and he was actually talking about the new, um I'm not going to say trend, I mean the new algorithm fact
algorithm.
that is coming or whatever, is they're actually focusing more on views than followers, because
Right, okay.
they're seeing that the tendency is that conversion, the followers are not the ones that are actually viewing your content, are the non-followers. So
Do
they're
people?
even thinking of removing the following count on accounts. So I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
major
yeah,
deal. That's like
yeah.
major, because that's what
It
people's
is.
after. But
I think they threatened
that's
to do
cool.
that before, haven't they? Removed the follower count and removed the like count to see if it makes a difference. So that would
If
be
it works,
interesting if
it
they
doesn't.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
things are changing, definitely changing in every aspect, not only in our industry, everywhere, of course, but is affecting our industry. And Yvonne and I sat down, got together, it's like, okay, we need to do something about this, of course. And collaborating with both podcasts. What we're planning on doing is inviting some people who know more than we do. Ask them some questions, tell them their opinion in different aspects of what's going on in our cake industry. And that series of episodes are going to be between your podcast and this
Yes,
podcast,
yes,
right?
yeah.
More details are to come. We're still working on the details. But at the end of the episode, there's going to be a full explanation of everything that's coming up. What we're going
Mm,
to do is take just a little break. And when we come back, we have some questions to discuss between ourselves. And we'd love to hear your comments about these questions as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Okay, everybody, we are back with Yvonne here. And as we mentioned before, we have some questions, many questions. And the funny thing, because one of the things we're going to talk about, Yvonne and I were laughing about this, because the thing we're going to talk about is AI and how AI is changing everything. And
mhm.
the questions actually were run by our chat GPTs. Yvonne's chat GPT is Simon, mine is
Yes.
Alex or Maria, depending on the day.
Okay.
And we talked to them. We talked to Simon and to Maria and to Alex, and came up with a few questions that first we're going to discuss among ourselves. We're just going to talk about what our thoughts are about this. And the idea, like we mentioned before, is to invite over some experts, some people who know a little bit more about all these topics than us, and help us figure out where to go, how to move on, and where this industry is going, right? So our concerns, Yvonne, were from trends, AI, knowledge pricing, economy, bad habits, social media, um, fatigue, business closing, everything, right? Let's
Mm.
start one by one. So let's start with AI now that we're talking about our friends. AI friends. AI, is it a, what do you think? Is it a tool? Is it
I
a,
love it.
is
I
it a
love
thread? Is it a
it.
trend? What is it?
I absolutely love using AI. One of my episodes, I think it was 2022. I think
Mm-hmm.
2022, I think, or 2023. I did one of my first episodes in the new year, and I did what's going up and what's going down. And I remember one of the things that I said was going up was ChatGPT AI, and that was in 2022. And the reason why I said it is because I listened to this podcast of this man called Gary Vaynerchuk, and all Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about is AI, ChatGPT. And I thought, what is this? So I started using it, the free version, and thought, oh my God, this is amazing. We can use this. But then as more people start using it, more people are people are either loving it or hating it. And I think it's in the way that you choose to use it. So you can use it to help you design a cake. So if the customer comes to you and says, okay, I need a cake, and they want to have Aston Villa with I don't know, green boots, and well, it wouldn't be green boots, it's Aston Villa, but Aston Villa footballs, chocolate shards, a gold accents. Type that into ChatGPT. Ask it to create your 5 images. Now you don't have to use those images verbatim, but you can take elements of what it's give you to help you spark your own creativity. So you can use it for that. If you get stuck on social media content, ask it to create some content based around that. If you're stuck around your ideal customer, give it some prompts of what you want your ideal customer to be. It just depends how you use it. Now, it can be used in a dark way, because I know that maybe, I think it was last year or the year before, there was a big hoo-ha on social media regarding people passing off cakes as their own and
Oh, the
saying, and
images,
not
yeah.
declaring it was AI. But I think we're getting used to the way AI cakes look now. And I think in a lot of these
I
social
think
media,
so.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you do get used sort of the style, and I think we now have to declare if we've used AI in our. So I put a post up the other day where I asked ChatGPT to take my signature cake and turn it into a person, turn it into people, and it took my 3 cakes and turned it into people. So there was one that was
Oh, that's
chocolate and
so
raspberry,
cool.
one was
Love
chocolate and
it.
pistachio, and one was chocolate with gold shards. And it turned them all into women. They were all black women because obviously the cakes were chocolate, but it all had the accents of what the cakes involved. I thought that was really clever, really cool. So I got some
Yeah.
feedback on that. And then we've had the AI doll trend. We've all used
Oh
it
my
for that.
God.
You know?
Yeah.
And then
You
privacy.
listened to my episode about the AI
I
doll. Oh my
did.
God, that was a flop.
I did. I
For
mentioned
me.
it in my episode as well, how much of a night we were having. So I think it just have its dark ways. I don't tend to post up too much personal stuff about myself or imagery with myself. But
Mm-hmm.
regarding business, I use it mainly for business, and I'm now subscribed to it. I paid for the paid version as well now because I do use it
Okay.
a lot.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I know there was some big buzz and concern in the cake industry about the artistry of things, mainly because some people at the beginning were passing some images as their own cakes. But
Mm.
I mean, I always think like, okay, think in the big picture.
Mm.
Eventually people is going to know that that is an AI generated image, and when the
Yes.
customer is going to pick up the cake and see that the cake doesn't look anything like the pictures the other person shows them, okay, it's going to be a problem that day, but then it's going to be over. I mean, with
Mm.
time things like fall into place.
Mm.
I also think it's a perfect tool for business. It
Mm.
takes so much time away from admin tasks like
Mm.
strategizing social media or target audience or creating some sort of business plan or um, templates. I mean, all of that is so easy that why not? If it's there,
Right.
why not use it? Why not use it? And I think, like I mentioned before, we're past the time of discussing if it's ethically correct or not. It's here. It's here. We
Mm.
just don't have to. I think we have to learn to use it the best way
And it's not
possible.
going anywhere. It's just going to get
It's
more and
not.
more sophisticated,
It's
you know.
not.
So we just have to. We're at the early stages, you know. I've got some little nephews that are 7 and 8, and you know, by the time they're in there, they're living in, going to be living in such a different world. In 20 years' time, what will we be using AI for? I
Yeah.
listened to a most disturbing podcast the other day about AI. I'm not going to mention it on here, but it's what one person was using it for. And I'm like, oh my God, really? So we're not going to mention it
Oh,
on here, but yeah, it can have its
oh
dark
my
side
God.
and,
I can
you know,
only
where it's
imagine.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, but it's like everything. I mean, we had so many inventions along our history that later were used to kill people. It's like,
Yeah,
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 but they were
yeah.
not intended for that. So
No.
I guess here the talking about our cake business, because as humanity, I think we need to be more human in order to understand the machine and to educate the machine.
Mm,
That's my idea of it. But
yeah.
for cake business, in any business nowadays, I think you either embrace it or you are left behind. That's it.
Evolve or die. Evolve or die. There you go.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
we have
there.
to sort of embrace aspects of it, unfortunately, or
Yeah.
fortunately, whichever way you want to see it. Yeah, yeah.
So it's
Mm,
in our hands as cake decorators, as cake artists, to educate our customers and to educate the
mm.
machine to work for us, and not the other
Yeah,
way around. I think.
yeah.
I don't know
Absolutely, I agree.
what you believe about that. Talking
Yeah.
about education, educating our customers. Let's talk about pricing. Because
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
that's
God.
I mean that's the big one, right? The
It is.
issue number one. That's another one we were talking about.
It is.
Pricing, the way we price, the way our customers react to pricing, people undervaluating their work or overvaluating, because that's the new one that I've
Mm,
seen, like you mentioned, people who just that I it there's is a skill in that, of course,
yeah.
having a nice buttercream cake with cardboard decorations on it. Yeah, you have to know how to place them correctly and how to buttercream your cake. Yes,
Mm,
but overpricing that cake next to a cake that require hours of working, uh, calling themselves cake artist. Wait a minute.
yeah. The
There
fine
is that
line.
line
Yeah.
between a
Yeah.
cake decorator and a cake art. I mean, yeah, and all involve pricing. Then we have, I mean, the economy, how the economy is doing. I mean, there were one day you have one prize in eggs, and the next day you have a different one if you find the eggs. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, how do we survive all this?
I think for me personally, it's just acknowledging that, okay, my customers don't seem to want to order too many bespoke cakes, because
Mm-hmm.
when I do, they give me the cake, or, you know, the quote. No, not the quote. They give me the picture, the brief, and I get back to them with the quote, and it's higher than they expect. Now, this isn't the same business that I was running 6, 7, 8 years ago. We've
Mm-hmm.
evolved, we've moved on. We're living in a very different society where everything is expensive, sorry, including cake. So you've got a choice. You can either have this bespoke cakes that all singing or dancing that I'm going to make specifically for you with everything that you want, or you have this ready designed cake that I've created, and you can buy that, take that away, and that's what you get. It's your choice what to do. And I think for me, that's the way that I'm going. That I'll be
Good.
offering some ready to order cakes, and then going to have the bespoke. But the bespoke obviously is going to be more expensive because there's more detail. But at the same
Mhm.
time, people don't want to pay for that detail. I'm not running the same business I was when I was making a shoe cake for maybe £60, you know, back in the day. We just
Oh
can't
yeah.
do that no
Hmm.
more, and people have
No.
to acknowledge and respect it. But at the same time, the entry level to making cakes isn't isn't that complicated to anybody. So you might have got a competitor that is making cakes cheaper, and your customer might go to them, but let them go to them. You can't, you know, don't let it
Mhm.
stress you, because the the customer has got price issues as well. The customer has got to watch their budget as well. So as much as we can hark on about, yeah, we know our worth, cake's worth this, that's fine. But if the customer can't afford to pay for it, then they can't afford to pay for it. It's not after, you know, it's not necessarily that they don't want it, but they can't afford to pay for it. And that's
Yeah.
the society that we live in. If you've just had, you know, in the UK, the end of April, the beginning of May, when all the bills come in, so you've got new community tax, your water bills, electric, your gas, your utilities, everything goes up. Interest rates going up, going down. You don't know where you are. People have got to watch their money at the same time as well. So I think sometimes we can be a bit holier than thou about cake pricing, but you've got to remember the other side of that is a customer wanted to have a
Mm.
nice cake because everybody deserves to have a cake, but they're not necessarily can afford to pay the price that we're
Oh,
charging.
I love
And
that.
that's, and I think that's the way that it's going. You have to be sensible about it. It's modern
Hmm.
life, isn't it? It's not that easy no more. Yeah.
Oh, I love what you mentioned. I don't know if it was on your podcast. I don't know if it was a guest or it was you, but I heard it on a podcast. I don't know which one. That this idea of standardizing, or that this kind of cakes you know, should cost this much.
Yeah.
And the person said, let everybody have their own idea of how
Yeah.
much they have to charge for their cakes. There's
Exactly. Yeah.
customers for everyone,
Yeah.
and just stick to whatever you decide to do.
What you decide to
Um,
do, absolutely,
yeah,
because I think
because
you can be so people can get so uptight about it.
I
Yes,
know that's
we
the
want to charge
thing.
120 quid for
I
cakes, but
do
people can't
feel,
afford it.
yeah, I do, and I love that you mentioned that, because I do feel sometimes from our industry, it's like one thing that we all can agree on is what you charge for. Include your hours, include your overhead, price correctly. Yes, that's like a standard rule. But thinking that you can never charge, I don't know, less than 150 pounds for a cake, or
Yeah.
150 euros or dollars for a cake.
Mm.
I know my customers here, they're not going to pay 150 euros for a cake,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a one tier celebration cake, because the
Yeah.
economy here doesn't support that.
No.
I, there is a part of the population that might,
Mm.
but if they do, they were probably not going to ask me for a one tier cake. They're going to go to the big luxurious cake maker, because they
Mm.
don't care paying 1,000 instead of
Yeah.
150.
Yeah.
So you really have to read your customers, and to
Mm.
be okay with that. And I think, I don't know. I think actually was in another another podcast, and this person actually called it themselves or herself the cheap cake maker. It was like
Yeah.
that was
Right.
her brand, the
Yes.
cheap
Yeah.
cake maker, because she
Yeah.
did cheaper cakes, good, small,
Mm.
up to what she could do with that amount of money. But
Mm.
that was her thing, and she created a business around that. I was like, yeah, why not? People get a
Yeah.
really, yeah, a little bit uptight with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I think if you think about in the UK, for example, we have supermarkets. You have your Waitrose, your Sainsbury's, your Asda, Tesco, Aldi, Lidl. You have a range of supermarkets, and you will go where you can afford to go. So if you want to do a little bit of Aldi and Morrison's, you do Aldi and Morrison's. If you've got enough in your pocket to go to Waitrose and do it regular, or Marks and Spencer's to do it regular, then you do that. A lot of these supermarkets are mixing and blending as well. So Marks and Spencer's, you can go in there and find price match to Aldi. They're trying to price match, but they've got other products in there that are a bit more expensive. So, people will go where they can afford the cake.
yeah,
So if you usually are the expensive cake, well, not the expensive cake maker, but if your cakes have gone up in price, and then you've got somebody else and they're a bit cheaper, they'll probably go where it's a bit cheaper if they can get
yeah,
a similar product. And it's horrible to have to say, but that's the way that the world is going, and this is why I keep saying we have to evolve, because I think we're at a stage now where we all understand our worth. We know what we should be charging. Chocolate's expensive. We're ganashing our cakes. Butter's expensive. We know it, but then we decide what kind of cakes we want to make for our customers. Because
yeah.
I think, like I said, the amount of times you get requests for bespoke cakes and they've got a lot of detail and they come back and they say, I just can't afford it. And I'm like, that's fine. That's fine. If you
Hmm.
can't afford it, that's fine.
Yeah,
There's
that
ready
doesn't
to
mean that
order
you have to
cakes that you
lower
can have.
your price,
No, you don't
but
lower your
that
price.
you
No,
can.
I've never done that. I've never discounted. I've just said, that's fine. You can have one of the ready to order cakes or you can have cupcakes. You decide. But I never drop the price. I never discount. That's one thing I don't do. If you can't
I love
afford that
that.
cake,
Hmm.
you don't have that cake. But there's other options that you can have. But I never
No, but you're
discount or
offering options. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
great. Hmm.
yeah,
Good. And talking about customers, since now that we're
yeah.
talking about the customers that can go here, can go there, um, custom cakes. Is people now really buying custom bespoke cakes? or
Oh, I'm not.
not?
No, not in the same way. I know for me, they're not. Not for yeah. So back in the day, I mean, even when I started this business, the amount of different variety of cakes I used to make, themed cakes, Peppa Pig, shoe cakes. I
Yeah.
had, I did a cake that had like an 80s theme, and I would create all these cakes. But now people don't really. They either ask for them and can't afford them, or don't ask for them at all and just go for a different style of cake. I don't know whether the same. It's very rare that I see custom cakes on my timeline with lots of different homemade elements, and I just don't
Well,
see
I
it as much.
barely see them now. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I rarely
not really.
see them. Yeah, and that's what made me when I went to Cake International last year. I was thinking, is this is this really relevant anymore? Because we don't. The industry doesn't really do this. Not in the UK. I don't know. Maybe we're going to go full circle. Maybe we're going to come back round to it. But it's just intriguing just to see how things are just changing all the time. It's
It
weird.
is. It is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we thought that those cakes were here to stay, and
Yeah.
now we're coming to realize that they're not.
They're
I also
not.
started my business like that. Every
Mm.
week was, animals, farms,
Yeah.
kids, I
Yeah.
mean, football, you
Mm.
soccer, whatever you call. I mean, well, there was
Mm.
always something different. It was like,
Mm.
whoa, what does I was waiting for my customers to come up with these crazy ideas about a theme for a cake, like 80s or 90s or this, because it was fun and it was
Yeah.
different every time.
Mm.
But now, even as it's funny because even for us here at home, celebrating a birthday, like I mentioned it before, my daughter's is like, just a mom cake, just
Yeah.
cream and cake,
Yeah.
and that's it, fluffy cream.
Yeah.
That's it. We
And
don't want
and
anything else.
I think the other thing is not everybody can use sugar paste either. That's one thing
Yeah.
I've really noticed is that some people they're just dealing buttercream. They cannot handle using sugar paste cakes. So when you see these
Yeah.
beautiful decorated cakes and the paneling work on it and the beautifully decorated, a lot of people can't handle the sugar paste as well. So I think that's kind of like left the industry a little bit as well. There's some cake makers that do that and they solely use sugar paste still, but there's some people that just don't know how to use it. So
And
that has an impact as well.
the funny thing is when I started was the other way around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Everybody could do sugar paste.
yeah.
Nobody was doing icing
Buttercream.
or buttercream.
Yeah,
Nobody. That was
yeah,
like, oh, only, special people who
yeah,
certain skills can do it.
yeah.
And now it's a trend. So yeah,
It is. Yeah,
it is. So are we really listening to what the customer wants?
I
Is
know.
is there a I don't know, a miscommunication between what we're doing and what
Yeah,
customers want? I don't
yeah.
know.
I mean, I remember when I was making the switch from sugar paste to
Hmm.
buttercream and ganache, and I did it for a number of reasons. But one of the main was the time that it was taking. It was because I run my business part time. I was spending a lot of time in the evening working on these cakes, and I was beginning to resent it almost. And I didn't want to do it, so I put some polls up on my Instagram and asking my followers at the time, what kind of cakes you prefer. Do you like sugar paste or do you like buttercream and ganache? And asking a lot of questions based around that theme. And the overriding theme was that it was buttercream all the way because I think at that time drip cakes were coming through and everybody was into drip cake. And I thought, well, if this is what people want, then why am I wasting my time trying to
Yeah.
do sugar paste? Let's knock that on the head. And that's like I said, I took it all off my website, took it all off my Instagram because I didn't want to do those star cakes anymore. Because I used to do a lot of novelty as well and they
Yeah.
take time. But I thought, no, I quite like doing the buttercream. I quite like doing the ganache. It's much quicker for me to do. And so let's try a thing and be quite radical and just stop doing that kind of cake. And some of my regular customers, they might say, "Oh, Yvonne, can you do this cake?" And it's sugar paste, and that's fine now and again. But it's a road that I don't tend to go down anymore.
No.
Yeah, and that's been really interesting to see. And every so often, I will share, like these are the cakes that I used to make, and when I do, we get such a lovely feedback. I put on TikTok about, I think it was earlier in the year. I've got like a portfolio of where we used to put our cake pictures. So before Instagram and Facebook, you used to you take a photo of your cake and put it in a book, and then that was your portfolio. And I was
Yep.
sharing my portfolio on TikTok of showing cakes I used to make. Oh my goodness. The feedback
I
that I got
found
off
my
that.
first portfolio the other day. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
exactly. Like some of
Yeah.
the cakes were absolutely horrendous, but it was in. But we've got a lot of younger cake makers in the industry, so it was good for them to see what we used to do, and it made me feel
It's
so old.
funny because that's true. Now I look at them and like, oh my God, how did people pay for this?
I
This
know
is ugly.
exactly, yeah,
But at
exactly.
the
It's like,
time
oh
I was
my
like,
god,
whoa, amazing. Yeah.
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 It's like I had the audacity to charge for these, honestly. But at the same time, some of the work that I was doing, there were like raw ice cakes. There was run out work on the cakes. I was using pastillage to create different things. It was a lot of techniques I was
A lot of
using.
techniques, true, true.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of techniques, but
Yeah.
not so
I
much now.
remember
But
the
nice.
Debbie Brown books with all the
Yes,
novelty
yes,
cakes.
yeah,
Yeah, those were
yeah.
those were fun. Ooh, we're
Yeah,
going
I've got
down
some of
memory lane now.
those. And
Yeah,
Lindy,
yeah.
there was a Lindy. What was her name? There was a Lindy. I can't even remember her surname. I had a few of her books because she used to do a lot of novelty star cakes, but I can't remember her surname. But yeah, I had quite a few of hers, learning how
Yeah.
to make them. But yeah, Debbie Brown, I remember a lot of hers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh my, I still have my books there, but yeah, nobody wants those cakes
No,
anymore.
nobody wants
It's
them
sad,
now.
but it's true. It's true. It's what it
Yeah,
is. And
yeah.
talking about what people we really need cake artists here or cake creators to pick their brains on that topic
Yes,
for
I
for
think so.
for the
Yeah,
future episode.
definitely. Especially people
Yeah.
that do those style of cakes. Yeah, see how they feel about
Mm-hmm.
it. Yeah.
I would love to have that. Now, talking
Mm.
about people, what people want, and you mentioned it now when you were speaking, is about viral content, social media. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I don't know what if it's. I mean, it is a tool, yes. It is a window for a business, yes. I'm like AI, 100% with it. But like we mentioned, we're getting tired, and then we see. I don't know if it happens to you, but I see this new younger generation of cake creators who come and they have this all figured out beautiful
Mm.
way of filming their cakes and the transitions of the reels, and they make it look almost like magical.
Mm.
And
They
two
do.
things
Yeah.
come to my mind is like, I cannot do that. I mean, not the
Mm.
cake. I cannot do the whole real thing the
Yes.
way they
Yes.
do it, right?
Yeah.
First. Second, I don't want to. It's like I have other things in my head to,
Yeah.
like dressing up the same way as the cake. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I don't. It's like, I'm not going to do it. And then the other thing is, um, are they there because of the cake, because of the content? Do they want to be famous and viral, or do they want to be a cake decorator? And
Uh,
another thing, the customers think we do that in 3 seconds.
yeah. Yeah.
It
That's
takes us.
yeah. It's such a different. I think for the younger cake makers, it's Generation Z and Alpha. I think we call them now because we're
Mhm.
Generation X. I think it's their era, and I mean, I use social media, but I'm starting to get fatigue from it, and trying to think, oh, what am I going to post? What am I going to post? How am I going to do it? And a lot of the times you don't always need to have a beautiful setup for your cakes, but sometimes it helps. And it just seems so much hard work, especially with the algorithms not being pushing out our content to as many people as it used to. I don't think it does. And then people might think they have the pressure to go viral. I mean, I did a cake for my nephew. It was a Spider-Man cake. I spoke about it on my podcast, and it was for my nephew, and I was just doing a head of Spider-Man. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to film this. I didn't have no intention of putting it on social media, but I thought I'd film it and do it in speed it up. And I posted it, and I got like over 100,000 views on this cake, but I couldn't figure it out. And what annoyed me even more is I posted it on two accounts. I posted it on my cake account and on my podcast account. It was the podcast account where the cake was going viral and going berserk, and my regular account it wasn't having the same impact. So I'm like, well, who is watching this? Are they cake people or are they fans of the MCU? So are they Spider-Man fans? I couldn't
Uh,
figure it out who was watching it, but the fact that it was going viral on the podcast page as opposed to my cake page was just throwing me off a loop. I couldn't
oh
understand it, and I
yeah.
was quite annoyed because it's my cake page where I'd want it to. And after that, I just became really disillusioned with how this algorithm works because you think you'd be pushing it out on my cake page, not my flipping podcast page. It didn't make sense, and I couldn't figure
It's
out. I had a
crazy.
very
Yeah.
when I was looking at the people that was liking it, I'm like, well, these don't look like they're from all over the world, but they don't look like my regular kind of ideal customer sort of thing. So that was very confusing. So
No,
yeah,
and honest, yeah, it's crazy.
mm,
And I don't know if
it
it's
is.
happened. Like today, I was checking on my Facebook. I usually Mondays and Fridays I go through the groups to check the comments to see everything. And besides the groups, the cake friends and the cake coach group, the feed on Instagram was so random. On Instagram now,
Yeah.
sorry, on Facebook was so random. Was
Mm,
like publicity searches that I did on vacation hotels. So a lot of vacation hotels post, cruise ships. Like I just maybe once I took a I was like, oh, interesting. Let me just open it.
yeah.
Okay, now all I see is cruise ships. Like I'm not going on any cruise. I want to see what my cake friends are doing. And
Yeah.
I mean, from every I don't know maybe 7 posts, one post will be from somebody that I know, and
Mm,
it's even
yeah.
offering like it shows me posts from people that I don't know to see if I follow them or if I want to
Mm,
follow them. So it's like
mm,
I feel so disconnected with everything that's happening on Facebook right now, uh,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to me anymore.
No, I mean Facebook. I've got a Facebook page for the business, and
Hmm.
when I post on Instagram, it automatically goes to Facebook.
Yeah, me
Apart
too.
from that, I very rarely use it I don't post on there myself personal stuff. I stopped doing that a long time ago. So I don't.
Hmm.
That's one platform that's the bottom of my list. It's one I don't really pay much attention to anymore. I
No.
think Instagram and TikTok are my most favourite, but Facebook is at the bottom of the pile for me. It
Yeah,
just
it's
doesn't hit.
so
It
weird.
did
It's
back in
getting
the
so weird.
day, yeah, but not no more. No.
No. I think even because I mean the groups are on Facebook, but I'm actually on the right now on the very tedious work of moving all of the groups out of social media and trying to get them on the website.
All right.
So
Yeah.
if people wants to connect website connected to maybe YouTube for some live
Mm.
classes, try to because it's not paying
It's not
off.
the
It's
same.
just
Yeah.
off. It's just
It
weird.
is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is. It
and
really is. Yeah.
I have so many cake for example cake decorators on Cake Friends who are not Generation X or our generation or my generation, who are just starting to figure out social media at this
Yeah.
point, who bake
Mm,
great cakes, who decorate beautiful cakes, but they don't even know. I mean, they're starting to like, okay, how do I post this? uh
mm,
and for me it's almost heartbreaking because it's like, oh my god, how do I tell them that I have, okay, yes, you have to get into the game, but now
mm.
the game is actually a different game. It's
Change
like,
it.
oh my
It is.
god,
Yeah. It is.
it's
Because
it
back in
is
the day,
tough.
Facebook was my main platform, and I could post on Facebook all day, every day. And it was, but Facebook was very different. It was very different back then. But it's just, I just
It
don't
was so
post.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it was. It
Mm,
was. It was.
mm.
Um, are we going? Do you think we're going to just maybe go back to basics and just be yourselves and just do whatever you wish to do and just stick to the 5 people that always follow you and that's it?
I think yeah, I think you can just keep posting your content because I think you never know when something's going to go viral. You're going to get a load of
Hmm.
followers from it, but you just have to be you, don't you? That's what they keep saying. I mean, we Natalie, who we've both interviewed on our podcast, one of the things that she said, and one of the things that I changed actually was people want to know who's behind the business, who's behind the brand. And so on my Instagram, I always used to have my logo as my main avatar for my brand, but I took
Yeah.
that down and put my face up, and so it's a picture of me, but it's Cake and Cupcakery. And Natalie mentioned that I was on TikTok and she's on a live, and she said, "Oh," and I was on Instagram and I saw your face, Yvonne. And I'm like, I know, Natalie, I followed your advice. Do you know what I mean? And it's just having that connect with people.
It
So
is true.
it's just
It is
making
true.
little tweaks, yeah, to just try to connect with
Usually
people.
the posts that connect the most, but in the cake Instagram that I have, that now it's all toppers, edible toppers, is because I also did a cleaning. I'm just I erase all the cakes and just having the toppers now.
Mm,
um I rarely show my face on that one.
Yeah,
It's on the main page, but not but rarely.
yeah,
Now in the other one, all the posts that is just me talking about hello, how are you? That's the
yeah,
one that, yeah, that's
yeah,
usually the one that gets
yeah.
more views, more conversion. People like to see
It's
who's
funny
behind
because
it.
even with Cake International, we've spoke about it, and I'm sort of
Hmm.
like, oh, it needs to be more relevant. There's no harm in maybe Cake International having they have the workshops, having a social media workshop for cake
I think
makers.
it's essential.
Do you know what I mean?
Business,
So
social
we can,
media,
yes,
pricing,
yes.
all of that should be
Yeah,
included.
a
Yeah.
workshop for social media at Cake International would be amazing with some people that have got maybe big social media followings and how they got there, or social, you know what I mean? Because I think if that's the way that it's going, even more so, I think at these bigger events, it would be good to have things that reflect the areas that we're really struggling with.
Yeah.
So, that's best shout out to the people that organise Cake International. Why don't you try a social media workshop for people and get some guest speakers in that know their stuff
Oh, that
around?
would be great, Melanie. If you're
Yeah.
listening, if not, I'll talk to her about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Let's just message her,
yeah,
see what she thinks about that. I think it will be great. I think it will be great.
yeah.
A
I
lot of
think,
things,
yeah,
a lot, and we talked about that before as well. A lot of things, including, I believe, and I hope my friends at Cake International don't take it wrong, but a lot of things
yeah,
need to change and shift and
yeah.
go in a
Yeah, I
different
think when we
road
speak about
in our
Cake
cake
International, it's
industry.
not a personal thing, it's just observations because we've been
Yeah,
going for years and we
yeah,
see what the industry's changing. You think, oh, it could just reflect this a little bit better or just
yeah,
change this up a little bit. But yeah, yeah,
yeah.
be interesting.
Even different languages. I mean, a lot of things,
Yes,
a lot of things
yes,
because we listen to what people say behind the event
yeah.
or behind scenes or in the floor. So
Mm,
yeah, and with everything, with our business, with our social medias, with the events. I did invite sorry, I invited, but it hasn't happened because of schedules. As a cake decorator and business owner from she's from Canada to talk about the cake event, because that's another, the cakes events are closing. It's like
mm,
they're starting, new ones are coming up, but the old ones are starting to disappear, like SoFlo, and especially in the United States, they're closing doors because they cannot keep up with
yeah,
everything, and also the turnout of people who's going to the events, it's really going down. So
yeah.
what's happening
Because
is
the
people.
demographics changing as well. Because if we've been the core audience for the past 10, 11 years, if we've been the
Mhm.
core audience of these teams, we're changing, we're evolving. We're in our 40s and 50s, we're perimenopausal. There's all sorts of stuff going on. There's other challenges that come into our life, which, like you said, we're tired, we want to stop. So you're taking out a big chunk of people that have been following, been on this path with you for the past 10 years, and now it's a new generation, but you're going
Yeah,
to have to evolve to that new generation now, to what they want, as opposed to what we had. But I almost feel like the glory days of cake decorating is over. Like the glory days. I just,
yeah,
yeah. But or maybe it's just that maybe it's just time for the new generation to just do it their way.
to
Maybe,
make their
maybe that's the
own
way it's
new
going.
cake industry. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's
Interesting.
sad. I mean, yeah, it's kind of, you mentioned it, you said it, I feel it in my stomach, like, oh god, yeah, maybe we're facing the end of an era. And but the good thing is that when something closes, when an era finishes, another era starts. So
Absolutely.
I
Because
guess the question, sorry,
I'm
go ahead.
sure that when raw icing came out of fashion and we
Yeah,
was all using sugar paste, I'm sure at the time people that used raw icing were like, "Well, what is this? What
they
is this
probably
sugar
felt like
paste?
us.
It's
Yeah,
never gonna last." And so with every era, there's going
yeah.
to be changes and new ways to do things. So maybe that's what's happening. Maybe there's just like a bit of a shift going on.
So the question, I think the question that we need to ask ourselves is, where is this going? How do we fit in it? Do we change with it? Do we stick to what we were doing? Are we just
Mm.
going to give up? Because that's another thing. We see so many
Yeah,
people closing doors and
yeah, they
just
are.
leaving.
They
We
are.
were talking behind the scenes how we feel that and you just mentioned it, right? We're just tired, physically tired,
physically tired.
and yeah, and we're getting older, and we don't want to, yeah, you don't want to do what we were doing, or
Yeah.
we're perimenopausic, and we're like, I don't want to do it. Yeah, it's terrible. That's a terrible thing. We should have an episode only on that
I
because
know.
it.
I
I
know.
mean, I don't remember my mom hitting it this hard as it has been for me. It's like, oh
Yeah.
God, I feel like a
Yeah.
different person.
I
I
do.
was
I do.
telling my
And
husband, yeah,
it's the motivation to want to do things, the stamina to be able to do things as well.
everything.
I mean, if I know then what I knew now about menopause and perimenopause, I think I would be better prepared. But it also explains a lot of the way I was feeling years ago when I was, running ragged with this thing and really stressing myself out. So maybe it's time, it's time. I mean, my mindset around my business has changed. My business now, a lifestyle business. I had so many different reasons why I was running my business, and I'm at a time in my life where it's a lifestyle business now. If I get a cake order, I get a cake order, and if I don't, I don't. I don't want to be overly
That's one
radical.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be starting up doing loads of things because I've done all that. I've worked full time and I've run my business part time and I've had coffee shop contracts at the same time and taken on massive orders and rushing around and driving around. I've paid my dues and I enjoy making cakes and I enjoy baking, but I'm at the stage where I just want to do it on my terms now. I don't
Yeah.
subscribe to anybody's sort of like process. I want to do it on my terms because I've earned it because I've put in a hell of a lot of work to do what I'm doing and to get where I am with it. So I feel quite comfortable that I can just like take my foot off the pedal and just observe what's going on around me and do what I want to do. And that's why I've
Oh,
changed some of the style of cakes to do what I want to do.
amen to all of that. Because
Yeah.
that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. I was saying to my husband, it's like, I feel that my mind is wired differently now. It's like
Yeah, me
before
too.
I was taking care of everybody and everything, but now everything turns into, what do I want?
Yeah,
What do I need? What do
yeah,
I feel? It's like, wait a
mm,
minute, no.
mm,
And I just say no. That's it. No
yeah,
explanation, no nothing. It's like, nah. That's a,
yeah, yeah.
it's liberating in some ways, but in other ways, it's just you're just tired. You're like,
It's very liberating. And I
yeah.
think I don't think we've properly recovered from the pandemic, if I'm honest. I
Oh,
think the
that
pandemic,
was my next point. That was my next point.
yeah, I
So
think
tell me about it. Tell me about it.
well, I just think when the pandemic happened, we had to pivot really quickly, didn't we? We had to think of ways. So obviously the wedding market just stopped, and a lot of people started up. I know Lauren, who I spoke to on my podcast, when the wedding cake stopped, she started up a coaching business, started doing coaching. And I remember scrolling through my timeline and seeing the most beautiful postal treats, treat boxes, cookie boxes, you name it. People just pivoted really quickly and were doing things that they could post out to people. And I loved it. I absolutely embraced it. And then there was some cake makers at the time that were not happy with people doing this kind of thing. They were like, you're putting pressure on the postal service, you shouldn't be doing it. Boris says we're not to do it. And I thought, no, because if you're running a business full time and maybe it's just you, or maybe you and your husband, you and your partner, and you need this income, then you do what you need to do to make this money. And if that is making poster cake jars, brownies, posting them, cookies. You do you and you make it work. And some people had
Absolutely.
phenomenal growth during the pandemic. And then we've come out of it and that growth obviously has dropped off. But I just don't think, I think it was a great level. I don't think we properly got back to that passion from the customers for what we want. And if we do, it's at a lower price point. So the cake sheds, love a cake shed. Couldn't
Oh,
have it
I love
myself,
that.
but
Yeah.
love the concept of the cake shed because people are baking what they want and people are buying the cakes and I think it's really lovely. I mean, I don't have the space for it here the way that my home is set up with the drive and everything, but I love the cake sheds and I just don't think I feel that we never got back to I don't think we got back to what we were post 2020, and I think a lot of businesses are closed since then as well. They had that massive
Yeah.
growth during the pandemic and then they've
The
dipped right
business,
off.
I think, if we could picture a timeline of the cake industry before 2020, it was going up. Everything was going up,
Yeah.
up, 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 and it we just hit reset button. That's it.
Mm, mm.
And like, I agree with you. We never fully the word sounds bad. We never fully recovered. It's not like we never went back to the peak that we were going up,
No, no,
and it's a different game. So now
yeah,
we had a break of I don't know how many years, depending of or time month, depending
yeah,
on where you were at, and the regulations of each country and everything, and the customers,
mm,
the pricing,
mm,
but we started again in a different business, in a different
mm,
world, and
yeah,
a lot of people business mentality are stuck previous
mm,
2020 19
mm,
2020, and this new generation has a different set and a mindset and is doing it differently. So
yeah,
there is it's like almost two timelines going up, I mean, working at
yeah,
the same
yeah,
time in the
yeah,
industry. Yeah.
yeah,
What is
yeah.
it in
It was
Back to
massive.
the Future? They call it a, I don't know, time like break or something like that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
It's that's how it
yeah,
feels. It feels like
yeah.
we're talking to two different realities.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I'd be
mm,
intrigued to see if other cake makers feel the same. But I just
mm,
think that there was a line drawn in the sand when we had the pandemic, and I
mhm.
just some people made it out, and some people just didn't. And I think it just
Yeah,
even around like work for everybody, not just cake businesses. I mean, where I work, people work from home now. They didn't do that in 2019. They only
no, they
come into the
didn't.
office 2 or 3 times a week. So
I
there's
use
that
Yeah,
expectation. So our whole thing around work has changed, and I always think about, I'm Gen X, so we was told go to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. You work hard, you will get your house, you will have your pension, and that's the way your life is going to go. And then this younger
absolutely.
generation have come across and said, well, actually, why does it have to be like that? Why do we have to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and go to the office? And actually, I can work all the hours God sends. That doesn't mean I'm going to get my house. It doesn't mean I'm going to be able to retire at 67. So, the ball has changed with the younger generation, and I think people will call them, oh, they're lazy and they're this. And I think actually now I think they're going to be the generation that gets it right, that gets this work-life balance around life in the right way, and not
Yeah,
prioritise
it's something that
work,
they're
work, work.
pricing, and they're making us face that as well. Like,
Yeah,
you have to
yeah,
have that work-life balance that we didn't.
yes.
I know. We come from the same
No,
generation as
no,
that. It's not. That's not how
no,
it worked. Yeah,
no,
me too. Me
exactly.
too. Now
Yeah,
I'm working from home full time now.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, the classes, everything is online.
Mm.
And I miss so much going out.
Going into office,
Getting
yeah,
dressed
yeah,
and going to teach outside. But
yeah.
yeah, it's so different. It's so different, and
It is.
it hits you in your mental health. You need to
It
take care.
does.
You need to force yourself to go out, which is
Yeah,
something that
yeah,
was even thinkable on before
yeah.
2020. So it's
Because I,
crazy.
I go I go to work daily because of the type of job that I do. But I
Hmm.
have some colleagues that can work from home and don't have to come in at the same time. And sometimes I've got an appointment maybe, and I've got to work from home because somebody's come in to I don't know, fix a pipe or whatever. And I absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate working from home because that's my character. Is that I'm quite a social, chatty kind of person. Because the kind of work that I do, I find it very isolating. It's like, well, I make
Yeah,
cakes from home on my own. I don't want to be at home even longer.
exactly,
Do you know what I
exactly.
mean? So I like to socialise. So for me, going into work is I don't mind it. I like it. I like my preparation. I like my driving to work. I listen to a podcast on my way in. So, but
Yeah,
some people, yeah, but some people love it. Some people hate it. But yeah, it's
yeah.
been that that in itself.
But
So the
just
whole
having that
everything
option
changes.
that we
Yeah.
didn't have before, it
Yes.
changed the game. Just having
Yeah.
that option, yeah.
Mm,
So yeah, there's a lot going on,
there's a
and we
lot going
really
on.
need to go deeper. I think, Yvonne, I don't know what your feeling is, but I think what we're doing here with our podcast and this series of episodes, I think it could really open up a very interesting conversation. It could
Yeah.
maybe enlight or give some light, some change into our industry.
Yeah.
We don't know how things start, but it could start here. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
We just have to ask the questions and see where it goes. So
And I think just to be honest with ourselves as well is that, the way that we used to work. I mean, the way that I used to work, 8 years ago is not the way that I work now. The cakes that I used to do 8 years ago are not the cakes that I'm doing now. everything changes. Everything has its time, doesn't it? And I think it's time that we look at the industry and decide how we're going to work it moving forward. Because, like you said, people have left it. People have gone into different industries and become cake coaches and sharing their advice with people of what they've learnt. And there wasn't. I mean, if there was a cake coach when I started, I would have jumped at it, but there was nobody
Me
that when I
too.
first
I know.
started out. So
Hmm.
you know.
I
And
know. Me
and
too.
there's lots of different ways if you like cake making or baking. There's lots of different ways you can do it, but it doesn't have to be a wedding cake, a celebration cake. You can do cookies, you can do um, brownies, you can do cake pops, you can do macarons, you can do anything with where your passion is. You can niche down, fine tune it down. There's so many different things we can do now. So I think the conversation is good that we're having to see what our options are, because our options are just not, oh, I'm going to be a wedding cake maker. That's great. And it used to be the holy grail for all of us at one stage. But I think we've learned that you don't necessarily have to go down that route. There's amazing wedding cake makers out there. So if you don't want to do it, don't feel obliged to do it. Make macarons instead, or open up a cake shed, or post brownies. There's lots of different things you can do.
It is, yeah. And in a way, it's almost relaxing to know that you have options.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest takeaway from everything that has happened for
Mm.
me in the past years. Uh, Getting that big window of social media, getting to know so many people, so many kinds of businesses. Uh, it all comes down to knowing that you have the option.
Yeah.
Because, like you mentioned, we come from a generation where there was no option. This is
No,
what you
no.
do, this is how you do
Yeah.
it, and you do it until you
Mm.
get retired, you retire or you die. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, even when sometimes I talk to my children and they're like, Mom, you marry my oldest daughter, you married so young. I said, because there was no option. I mean, that's it. That's what you did. You had a boyfriend, you got a loan, you got married. I mean, that was it. That was it. It is
Yeah.
like no, I mean, and I come from Latin American countries where mentality is a little bit different, right? But I love now that it's just options. You have options.
Mm.
You can do
Yeah.
it this way. You can run your business this way. You can niche down or not. You can do
Yeah.
cakes or cookies. You can, I mean,
Yeah.
you name it. You
Yeah.
name it. And I
I
think
know.
that's a good takeaway.
Because if I was to finish doing stop my business cake cook cake, I'm thinking, well, what would I do if I still wanted to make cakes? I could set up a little YouTube channel. I could set up a little membership for a cake school. There's so many different things that you can do now. So I think the options are there, but people just need to use the options are there. That's why you can use ChatGPT to help you find your option.
There you go. Ask Simon
Yeah,
or Alex
yeah,
or
yeah.
your
Simon
own
or Alex.
ChatGPT
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
about that. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Ivan, I love it. I love having you here. I love chatting with you.
Me
And
too. Yeah,
I think these future episodes are going to be really cool. Really, really cool.
yes.
We have some amazing guests on the line for you. We're not going to give everything away right now, but it's coming up. It's coming up. We would love for you guys in the audience to tell us what you want to know, what you want to ask our guests as well to participate. So it's going to take some time into building up this whole experience, but it's going to happen. Our idea is to invite experts to have questions from you and to get this conversation going, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
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 Great. Ivan, thank you so much for being here today. If you could,
Thanks for having me.
before we go, if you could, I'm not going to ask you if you were going to bake a cake because I already asked you that one. But if you could leave a message of everything that we talked about to the people on the other side of the microphone, what would it be?
I think to just find your own lane. I think a lot of the times we tend to want to follow and do what other people are doing. And I think it's time for everybody just to find their own lane and do what you want to do for you. Post the content that you want to post. Make the cakes that you want to make that aligns with you and your customer. Don't feel obliged that you have to do what everybody else is doing. Just, find your lane, find your tribe, basically, and stick to do what you love. When you do what you love, it really shows. That's what I
It
think
does.
anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You have the option, so just do it.
Yes,
Very good.
definitely, definitely.
Yvonne, thank you so much for being here today. Please go check out Yvonne's podcast, Adventures in
Yeah, yeah,
Cakeland.
monthly, yeah.
It's a monthly episode, right? Yeah, monthly podcast episode, and go check it out and Yvonne is great with TikTok, and she keeps track of all the trends and all the things happening on TikTok, which is good because I don't. So I I listen to your
Yeah.
podcast to know what's going on. It's like what's happening in the world of TikTok. So she knows. Thank you so
I
much,
will.
sweetie,
Yeah.
and well, you will be back soon because we're gonna do the episode together. And to all of you in the other side of the microphone, thank you so much for listening today. And as always,
Bye.
stay safe and stay creative. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.